Hello, this is Dr. Scott Denstead, founder of EZWxBrief, your best online source for aviation weather and education. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to use your personal minimums when planning a route using the EZMap display. Now, the first thing you notice, we're going to be planning a route, in this case, from Evansville, Indiana to Flying Cloud near Minneapolis. We're going to fly at 8,000 feet. We're going to let EZWxBrief calculate our ground speed by using the forecast winds aloft. And so you see that route displayed on the EZMap here in gray. Now this is displaying the flight category, showing essentially at 3Z, if our arrival is at 3Z, we expect to see marginal VFR conditions using the EZ forecast. 5 statute miles with a ceiling of 3,500 feet. A forecast for flight category combines both the visibility and ceiling. The 5 statute miles is the limiting factor here for this particular case. Now you notice that there are a lot of widespread marginal VFR conditions, but this really doesn't tell us about how that matches our personal risk. For that, we have to look at our EZMinimums. Those are our personal weather minimums, which you can define in EZWxBrief. So we go to our settings, and we can see our EZMinimums described here. The first of which is our ceiling at departure, our visibility at departure, and our crosswinds at departure. And so those are set up accordingly. Then we have our ceiling along our route, visibility along our route, icing probability, icing intensity, turbulence intensity, and route convective potential. And then we finally get to our ceiling at destination, visibility at destination, and our crosswinds at destination. And we see here we have our ceiling at destination set up at 1,500 feet as our personal minimum, and our conservative personal minimum is 3,000 feet, with any ceilings in between as a moderate risk item. So this suggests that if for some reason our destination airport is forecasting a ceiling of 1,500 feet or less, that's a high risk based on our own personal risk tolerance. We also see our surface visibility at destination. We see 5 statute miles and 8 statute miles set up accordingly. So let's take a look how to use this information to plan a route strictly using the map. So once again, this only shows us what the expected conditions are and doesn't necessarily reflect our personal minimums. For that, we can go to the layer selector, and under station markers, you're going to see something called Use Personal Minimums. In this case, I have these set up for the destination airport. You can also set them for departure and en route as well. And I have this also set for the flight category, which takes into account both the ceiling height and surface visibility forecast. And you'll notice here that an arrival at 3Z, you'll see that it's yellow, which means that essentially this is a moderate risk scenario. That is, it's a 4,500 foot and 7 statute miles, so it falls into that moderate range that we defined for our personal minimums. You'll also notice that a lot of airports nearby Minneapolis also fall into that same category for yellow, and also in some cases even red. So this tells us that if there was something to go wrong on this particular flight and we could not make it to our destination, that the areas where you see green, these are airports that meet all our conservative personal weather minimums. So they represent great alternates. And we can also further qualify this and take a look at the ceiling height at the destination and go through that same analysis. And that is, for the most part, this is not going to be a problem from a ceiling perspective. All the ceilings here are green in the area. There are a few areas where there's some yellow, so we don't want to necessarily end up in that area per se. But there's a lot of green around, so that makes us comfortable from a ceiling standpoint. But let's take a look at visibility. So under surface visibility, this is where we're going to see the most significant problem here. We see lots of red, so most likely we're going to be dealing with a lot of low visibility scenarios, whereas we can see that we have a lot of green down here to the southeast and even directly south of our destination, or even further to the north where we see lots of visibilities in the 10 statute mile range. So this gives us a really good picture. This gives us a really good picture based on our destination personal minimums to help us better understand how to plan a flight to pick out those airports that meet our personal minimums, especially at the conservative level. And that gives you a good idea of how to use the map display and incorporate your personal weather minimums into your flight planning. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the simplicity of EZWxBrief.